We saw in the sneak trick episode that we can retrieve a specific item from a sequence. But what if we want to get all or multiple items at once? Is there a quicker way? I guess it's time to introduce the loops. Yes, Python loops. Python has two primitive loop commands: for loops and while loops. We're gonna focus on the for loop on this episode. So, what is that for? The for loop. A for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. That is either a list, a tuple, a dictionary, a set, or a string. And if you don't get iterating, we can translate it by repeating an action. So, with the for loop, we can execute a set of statements or action once for each item in a list, tuple, set, etc. Let's say we want to print all the values inside a collection. We can either print index by index, which could be very long, especially if the collection is huge. Let's take the same tuple that we previously used. So fruit with 3 items in it. The first is apple, the second banana, and the third cherry. And we're gonna print each value. So print, open the bracket, fruit of 0 for the first item. Print, open the bracket, fruit of 1 for the second item. And print, open the bracket, fruit of 2 for the third item. Let's click on run. So Pyto will come over the variable, take it into his memory, go into the first printing block, take the first item and print it, go to the second printing block, print the second item, which is the number 1, go to the third, and print the last item, which is number 2. But what if the tuple or the sequence is large? Really large. It would be too long to write the printing block for each item. And there is what the for loop is for. And as an image is worth 1,000 words, let's take a look at the for loop machine and use it inside an example. So this is the for loop block. Look kinda weird, no? We can explain how it works, don't worry. And this is the for loop machine that goes inside the for loop block and control the access to the loop. So, what Pyto will do is put a collection or string inside the for machine and execute an action that we previously set, for example print, for the item selected. When finished, the loop will send Pyto back to the front of the for machine, where he will turn the crank handle to access the next item and repeat the same action. And so on and so forth until there is no more item left. Only then he can exit the for loop block. This is just like a stage or level in a video game, where you have to accomplish something to open a locked door and progress to the next level. Now, let's take the same example. So, let's start with a collection and more specifically with a tuple. So, we have a tuple. We're going to create a tuple called fruit with 3 values of fruits, and we want to print all. Open the bracket, fruit, close bracket, equal, and inside we're going to put bracket, an apple, comma, banana, comma, cherry, close the bracket. We then going to create the for loop. Next line. For x in fruits, which is the tuple we just created, colon. You're probably wondering what x is. X is an arbitrary variable that we give to retrieve the item in the loop. You can replace it by whatever name you want. Fruit, for example, y, f, or whatever. And then we're gonna ask Pyto to do something with each item, which in our case is gonna be a printing action. So next line, don't forget the indent, because the print block is gonna be inside the for loop. Print, open the bracket, close the bracket, and inside we're gonna print the value of the variable we just created, which is x. And x is just a variable name, so you can change it by whatever you want. For example, fruit. So let's replace x by fruit, just like that. And don't forget to change as well the value inside the print. But for now, we're gonna stay with x. So let's put it back on. As I mentioned, fruit is equal to the value of the tuple we just created. So if you want, you can directly put the value of the tuple inside the for machine, and you will have the same result. But for now, we're gonna keep the fruits variable inside the for machine to see how Pyto handles it. Now, it's time to run the program to see what happened. Pyto will come over the variable fruit, put it in his memory. He goes inside the for loop block. When in front of the for machine, he just put the fruit values inside the machine, and the first item, which is apple, appears. Pyto will put it in his memory with the variable name x, as we previously defined. And then he will enter the print block, take in his memory the value of x, which is apple, print it, and send it to the console. Now it can exit the print block and goes to the conveyor, which sends him back to the starting point. To access the second item, it will turn the crank handle. Now banana appears, he takes it into his memory, goes to the printing block, retrieve it from his memory, put it in the print machine, send it to the console, and come back to the starting point again. Pyto will repeat the same loop as long as there is some values inside the for machine. So let's get started for another turn. Pyto will turn the crank handle, take the cherry values into his memory, goes to the print block, retrieve the x value, which is cherry, into his memory and put it into the print machine, print it, send it to the console, exit the printing block, goes to the conveyor, and come back once again. Now, Pyto will turn the crank handle and we'll see that there is no more item into the for machine. So now it can exit. It's time to take another example. And for this one, we're gonna take a string. So the variable name is fruit equal banana, which is the value. Next line for letter in fruit, colon. Next line, don't forget the indent, print, open the bracket, close the bracket, and we're gonna print the letter. We can also change it as you wish. For example, we can put L instead of letter, but let's put it back letter on. Let's run it. Pyto will go over the fruit variable, take it into its memory, goes into the for block. In front of the for machine is going to put the variable fruit, which value is banana inside it. Take the first value, which is B, goes into the printing machine, print the letter B, goes into the conveyor for the next loop. And it will repeat this operation over and over again until there is no more item left inside the for machine. That's what we call iterate. Now, if you look into the console, you will see each value of the variable has been printed. B, A, N, A, N, A. So it's perfect. One last thing. What if we let the for block empty? What happened? Maybe it's time to introduce the password. So let's take another example. For val, we're going to create a dictionary with the first value of Pyto, comma, green, comma, 1.90, comma, 9. Close the bracket, and let's see what it does. So Pyto will go into the for loop block. In front of the machine, the values are introduced into the machine. The first value is Pyto, so it picks it into its memory. It goes into the loop, but then it doesn't know what to do. That's why it's gonna come out with an error, a syntax error to be exact. In order to overcome that, we just have to use a simple word, the word pass. Now, let's see what it does. Like the previous time, Pyto will enter the block, goes in front of the for machine, take the first value, put it in its memory, and go into the loop. There, it will just cross over the pass, go to the conveyor, and it will be sent back to the starting point. Then, it will continue the same operation until there is no more item left. We took a printing block for this example as an action, but you can obviously put whatever action or block into a for loop, and even another for loop. As usual, don't hesitate to play with Pyto and create your own loops. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoy it, and see you the next time.